All in all, it wasn't a bad day, Johnny. It was your first day off of your work cycle. It was a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Vancouver, and the Preds at least got a point on the second half of a back-to-back against Minnesota. I guess you're right. Not all is lost. Yes, that's the spirit. Almost makes you forget about what happened 12 years ago today in an afternoon game in Chicago. I told you 100 times, we do not speak of that game in this house. Preds lose 5-4 in overtime inside Bridgestone Arena Sunday night to the Minnesota Wild. The chance of clinching a playoff spot with a regulation win and the Sharks' regulation win in Vegas, the Preds fall short on their end, instead only reducing their magic number to 3, hoping to get help on the out-of-town scoreboard since, again, this team can't take care of its own business. Preds Nation, wow, what a game on Sunday. Yes, they fell short. This isn't a rant video. It's a little disappointing video, but impressed that they were able to pull out the point after the hell they were put through in Tampa on Saturday, that they were able to come home on Sunday and still somehow pull out a point when they were almost seemingly doomed to get nothing against the Wild. I thought for sure after the Wild went up 1-0 in the dying moments of the first, in those remaining moments when it looked like nothing was going to happen, somehow the Preds pulled out a goal, Forsberg's 40th of the season. Thank you for that finally happening, getting that monkey off of his back and breaking through and joining his buddy Matt Duchene, and the Preds somehow found themselves tied at 1 after 1. Not to overshadow the decision when the game started as I go into the second period highlights, but thank you, Coach Hines, for making the right decision that needed to be made after Saros started against Tampa, that Dave Rittich got this game. Yes, he was peppered with a lot of shots, but he is one of the main reasons why this game even went to overtime. And really, when you think about it, what I'm about to get to in the second period, why did this game even go to overtime? Because the Preds should have won the game outright. Just about 6.5 into the second period, the Wild are in the Preds zone. Middleton falls right in front of Rittich. You think that it was Cunnin who probably helped him, but no. It was Middleton the whole way. He interferes with Rittich. In goes Eriksson Ek as well, as bodies pile up. The puck is in the net and it counts. Coach John Hines does the right thing, we all assume, uses the coach's challenge. Every Preds beat writer I could see on Twitter, C-Mace and Donick, on the broadcast, both thought it was going to get called back, and they counted it because Cunnin interfered. I know I rail on Cunnin in these videos very often, but that was not his fault. Middleton went into Rittich's crease all by himself. NHL, give your freaking head a shake. That should not have counted. And hey, after they were crashing his crease, I totally don't blame Rittich for getting pissed off and taking an unsportsmanlike penalty. But because of the goal counting and the challenge failing, and because of Rittich's penalty, oh goody, the Wild have a 2-man advantage for a full 2 minutes. Certainly, this is going to get out of hand for the Preds, and the Wild are going to take a 2-goal lead at worst. But amazingly, with Nick Cousins and Philip Tomasino in the box to serve that 2-man disadvantage, the Preds kill it all off and are still only down by a goal. Because later, just about the halfway mark of the second period, Merrill gets called for clotheslining Luke Cunnin. Well, at least he did something good in this game by drawing a penalty against so that Preds could go back on the power play, and the Preds are still steaming over that goal that should not have counted, and they go on the power play. Matt Duchene, maybe a little jealous in a good way that his teammate has now tied him in goals, set up well, and then Matt Duchene with Marc-Andre Fleury down, gets it into the net. His 41st of the season, retakes the Preds team lead in goals. The Preds have tied this game at 2. And it's Dean Evanson's turn. The Minnesota Wild head coach's decision to say, oh, was that goalie interference when Ryan Johansson may have interfered with Marc-Andre Fleury? Hey, newsflash, as we all look in depth at the replay, Jake Middleton pushed Ryan Johansson into Marc-Andre Fleury. He wisely decides against it, and this game is tied. Then about 7 minutes left to go in the second period. Delorier for the Wild cross-checks Matt Benning. Yeah, Matt Benning may have sold it a little bit, but, you know, that kind of makes up for the goal that should not have counted, and the Preds go right back to the power play. Don't worry, Preds Nation. I am not letting my frustration go over the goal that should not have counted. Eventually, on the ensuing power play, the Preds set up well. Once again, they convert. Ryan Johansson, 24th of the season. The Preds had their first lead of the game, now lead 3-2. Unfortunately, the Preds become undisciplined again because under 2 minutes, Colton Sisson's high sticks Kaprizov, and on the ensuing power play for the Wild, they tie it. It's all squared again at 3. Before the Preds can even think about the second intermission, they get too loose defensively in their own zone. A minute and a half after Eriksson Ek's goal tied it, they allow Kevin Fiala, yes, former Pred Kevin Fiala, free range in their defensive zone, and with about 25 seconds left to go in the period, he scores backhand past Rittich. The Wild now have a lead again, 4-3. Amazingly, the Preds only trailed the Wild by 9 as they got outshot in that period by a total of 22-9. Yes, you didn't misread that. That's not a misprint. 22-9. Preds only trail by 1, but can they stop the shot totals of the Wild and find a way back into the game in the third period? Well, a little inside baseball on these recaps, Preds Nation. As I'm about to talk to you about the third period in this one, I can see that it's 4-2 Vegas over San Jose. So I guess I should give up on this one and just be a little bit positive over the point that the Preds were still able to pull out against Minnesota, considering what's to come on Tuesday with Calgary coming back to town and Vegas going to Dallas. We can all hope that Dallas wins that game in regulation because, you know, Minnesota had their chances. Good on the Preds for defending well and not allowing them to go up 5-3 and not allow the Preds to get any points out of this one, because just under 6 minutes left to go in regulation, just when I thought this game might have been out of reach and the Preds had no energy to come back, the Preds had an offensive zone face-off. The puck gets passed around, then back to the point and over to, oh people, not Roman Josi, Dante Fabro, who fires away, ping off of the post, past Marc-Andre Fleury. Somehow the Preds have found their way back to tying this game at 4. Dying minutes, the Preds have whatever they have left in the tank from playing a back-to-back before they get a full day off before having to play on Tuesday, and seemingly the Wild are content not to give the Preds any chances and cost themselves a point as they're still trying to get home ice in a 2-3 matchup against St. Louis. These two teams tie at 4 after 60 minutes. Why am I going to talk about overtime? It was the least happy period of the game considering how it ended. Yes, the Preds had some chances. They defended well against the Wild up until the last 5 seconds, because working off against Eriksson and Colton Sissons works his butt off to try and seemingly get the clock down to 0 so it can go to the gimmick and the Preds can maybe win a coin flip in the shootout. But Eriksson Ek just simply outworks him. He gets past Forsberg because Josi has decided to pinch, not his best move in a game, even though he's one of the best players on the team. I will give him that. So he's not back to help Forsberg defend Kulikov, who is able to go in on a breakaway. Rittich has no chance, and Kulikov just beats Rittich over the shoulder with a second and a half left in overtime while win the game 5-4. So to recap, dude, have you not been watching the Sharks Vegas game? Jersey guy, what are you doing here? You're only supposed to be at the beginning of the video. What are you doing in my game summary of it? I don't care about the game. It's over. Vegas was up 4-2. Sharks have come back to tie it at 4. It's going to overtime. Hang on a sec, Preds Nation. I'm going to get back to you. Wow, Preds Nation, I did not see that coming. San Jose did indeed do the Preds a favor. They couldn't have done it in regulation, but they still did it in overtime. And it was almost as if it was destiny. So get this, Preds Nation. So former Pred from the expansion era, Bob Boughner, is the Sharks head coach. Okay, are you with me so far? Okay, former Pred, as of recently, Nick Bonito got 2 goals, including 1 goal that cut it to 4-3 with just over 2 minutes left to go in regulation. And then the Sharks miraculously tied it with a second left to go in regulation. Oh, and here's the icing on the cake that I kind of thought, is that going to happen? Is he going to get the overtime winner? Or maybe the shootout winner? Yes, the Sharks walk-off winner in the shootout, their 3rd pick, was the son of former Pred from the expansion era, Sebastian Bordeleau's son. His son, 3 different connections to the Preds organization, somehow made the Preds escape none so bad as we thought they might if Vegas had won this game in regulation. Instead, they only get a point. The Preds' magic number doesn't really cut down because there is still the chance that Vegas could tie the Preds in regulation wins, and then we'd have to go through tiebreakers, which I won't go through now, but the Preds get a big help from the Sharks in this game. I will leave you with this, Preds Nation, on a happy note. Preferably in regulation, but if the Preds win by any means on Tuesday and Vegas doesn't get 2 points, the Preds are in the playoffs. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching as always. Click like if you liked this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. You can find my social media by clicking on the channel name. Tell all your friends about Predemption. Be positive. Be hopeful, Preds Nation. The Preds win by any means on Tuesday, and if Dallas beats Vegas, the Preds are in the playoffs.